Okay, we're going to start another CC kind of judging playthrough. Today it is Storm King by Greenside, who I think it's possibly a first course, I'm not entirely sure. So as ever, this is going to be one of certainly at least 2 times that I play a course before judging it in the first round of judging, and then potentially we play it more as we go on. Conditions are as they are, and I'll try to point out both things I like as well as things that I think could kind of help improve the course or make it a little bit better. As per usual, the main thing is that it's your course and it's feedback, take it or leave it, it's up to you. You know what you were trying to accomplish, but try to look at your course as ever with a critical eye and see what we get. Yeah, with all of that out of the way, let's see what we've got. Okay, looks like we are in Rustic, I believe. Okay, already we're seeing some things. The fairway is really wide and really sloping. Bunker, we've got some sculpting issues falling away. 471. I like the use of the lake back there. I like that we can see another little hole that we're going to come to later. This whole hill feels just too steep for me. There's some transition issues here that we'll talk about in a little bit. I like the framing off this side, water edge being there, and a couple of little bits of kind of use of nature. I think with the kind of placed heavy rough texture, you can see how it cuts in here. I'd like you to have taken a little bit more care about it and maybe traced out around the edge of the water a little bit, or thought about whether we want some planting in here and have it going around. I think that could all really accentuate what you've got going here with the hole. Given that we're going low left to high right, I'd like everything moving that way, so maybe planting coming in here, like some bushes and grasses and things, and then the heavy rough going around it would make me really feel that everything's going around there. Now, hole design wise, I mean it's CC, so I'll be honest, just generally I don't love the spline around the heavy the splined light rough around the bunker. I don't think we do that in real life. And I think the single stock shape bunker that we've got here it's just an odd choice, really. It's really pretty narrow here. I don't know, that bunker's just not doing much for me. As is, we're trying to get to there. Okay, it's a tough pin, but that's okay. I don't really see the need for this bit of fairway. I don't think that's an option so much. I mean, yes it is, but if you're going to do this, I think you've got to have the hill coming in more rather than just dipping straight down and then flat. I think the sculpting could use some work. Let's see where we go. Yeah, this fairway, everything just feels a bit too sizes, scaling, apart from the green. The green is tiny. Right, look at the size of your fairway and then the green. The green is minute compared to everything else. You've gone really big, and honestly going big is difficult. Okay. I mean, we're unintentionally... we've kind of got a skyline green. To be honest, with this flag, I'd have liked to have seen you gotten rid of the trees behind it so we can just see the flag silhouetted against the sky. Would have been great. But that's just a personal preference, really. Okay, I do like that you give me a bit of fairway there as a runoff area. I think you could have done the shaping a little bit more smoothly. I mean, if you look up transitions in the tips and tricks, that will show you how to make this a little bit more smooth. And I mean, if you look at a golf course in real life, we're not going to have fairway to heavy rough and then a right angle to kind of green. It doesn't tend to happen. At least not all that often. Okay, we need to hold something. Okay, we're at 145, which is a weird choice for a green speed. Given that 144 is default, I'd like to see you probably move a little way away from that. That's an observation, that's not a nitpick at all. I think you're giving schedulers, if it goes on tour, schedulers get a choice of the default that you set, and they also get the 144 anyway. So now this is a really nice looking par 3. Again, your surfaces are letting you down here because the fairway is just dipping right into the bunker, and I'd like to see that. I mean, okay, stroke index 1. Ooh, I wonder where you've put pin 1. I mean, the green shape itself is a little funky for me. It's very narrow. Now, in terms of trying to help you understand the surfacing stuff, because the planting's nice. I really like the restraint you've shown with the waterside planting down here. I think you've focused a lot on your planting here in order to make this all feel more immersive. I like this little tree line here. I like the way you've got the path coming up. That frames it nicely. But we really need to see some planting down here or over here or here, because it's all just like we've only looked at this 30-yard area here. Now in terms of your surfacing, I'm going to try and show you on the overhead's not that helpful for some reason. Okay, so say we've got this green shape here. Fairway into bunker works really only if the fairway isn't mown like halfway up the bunker. So either you go all the way around it, which being this close to the water I wouldn't recommend, or I think you go light rough all the way around here, fairway kind of coming in and meeting the green there, so in a nice little angle there, and then coming back down and maybe coming slightly in front. To be honest, this little bit of fairway doesn't really help us anyway, because if it lands in that, it's bouncing off. Then same as this. To be honest, it's going to be hard to make a fairway apron look like it belongs on this hole, because it's side angled, which means that an apron is usually in front of the green to allow you to have a little bit of land to land it on and then roll on. If you look at famous Augusta 12, no fairway apron, and the reason being because it's just an island green all carry. So to be honest, I'd just do away with the whole fairway. It's not helping. And as you can see, it's really dipping off here because in part we're getting too close to the water. Yeah, I don't know. I think again this hole is a little harsh. I mean, the view from the tee is nice. I like the way you've done the tee box. I like that it's nice and big. Some of the scale is working really well here. Yeah, with this sculpting, you've gone. Yeah, that bunker is way too deep, and it's. Yeah, I think that bunker's far too deep, and because of that it's dragging the texture down and making this sheer edge, which is why you're getting these crinkles, because I think you've tried to make it deep and then flattened up here, and it's basically pulling the land right down directly. The game doesn't render that particularly well. That's not 100% on you, but I think we've got to be aware of the limitations of the game. That bunker though is miles too deep. I'd be raising that up at least 4 feet, and to be honest, bunkers behind a green are usually better when the player can see pretty much all of it and it doesn't actually drop down off the green too much, maybe a foot at most, and then actually most of the bunker is above the green. They tend to work better like that. That's not a must though. Yeah, I feel like that hole's a little bit punitive, particularly as we're talking CC level. Ugh, dreadful putt. Didn't commit to that. If we're talking CC, you want. I feel like that's basically you hit a perfect shot and you get a birdie, or you don't hit a perfect shot and you are struggling. There was kind of no in between. There was no safe place to play to the middle of the green. Okay, I like that we've got water. Again, same kind of thing with the heavy rough. I'd like to see being a bit more thoughtful about where we place it. Waterside planting's quite nice. I think you could have mixed it up and just. I'll come back to the planting. This sculpting's too harsh. Yeah, the bunker again is I think we're getting to the same sorts of things. And I'll try to explain what I mean as we go, because that's helpful. It's no help if I'm just constantly saying this isn't great. Your first thing is that from the tee we are pretty much blind. We can't see the bunker down there, we can't see the fairway really, a tiny sliver. And yes, there is some blindness in golf, but you don't intend this to be a blind tee shot. You want people to see that. The problem is, because you've put us here, and again, this is a kind of game thing, but the game is tracking as if my eyesight's here, all I can see is the front of the tee box, so we've got to lower that and raise this. I mean, really you're helped if you make the tee come even further across here and just dump this land in front way down. You'll find with just focusing on what do I see off the tee, and I think this is your first course, so this is really common feedback, we pretty much all get it. The more you focus on what do I see from this shot here, the better you'll get as a designer. Because again, with that bunker being as cavernous as it is, I want to be able to see that. I think the second point on the bunker is you've got to have a high side and a low side with all of your bunkers, and that's partly why you're falling into some difficulties. And you'll see that in real life golf as well. This is not a video game thing. Bunkers always have a high edge and a low edge, and that's to help with, in real life, drainage, but also visibility from the tee, not kind of ending up in the bottom of the pit. There's a slight exception with pot bunkers, but that's not what you're going for here, and even then they're sloped. So I'd be having this back edge raised up about 5 feet, this one maybe 4 feet down in front, but gentle slopes down into and gentle slopes up and out of. So it's kind of high point here, low point here. And again, you'll find that makes a big difference. I'll just hit down this side. I like the wide cut of Lied Rough. We've got a lot of squiggly lines now that we're here, and I suspect this is we're not aware of it. Annoyingly in this game, if you place heavy rough texture over light rough, you get squiggly lines like this. It's not a nice neat cut like this side. You've got to trace around it and be really careful. To be honest, here, I mean, you don't need to place it. I don't think you need the placed heavy rough texture. You're so close to the water edge, it's not like it's going to be kind of mown to that level. Again, with the sculpting, I think you need to be flattening a lot more. This sort of camber is huge, and it's just we've got flat here, and yes, I get that undulations can be part of the strategy, but it's just a bit too harsh. I don't know, I like the par 3 for what it was. This one feels a little forced, and now that I'm here I'm worrying about this tree being too close. We're okay. I kind of, if I'm really honest with the green sloping as well, I don't really see, I guess, I don't know, I don't feel a huge amount of logic in the where the hills and things are. This is, you would not mow fairway up there, you would not mow light rough up there on this side of a hill, and if we were building a golf course on it, we'd probably be knocking this down or lowering it a little bit, or just going around it entirely. I still think, even for CC, I think this fairway as a landing zone is a bit too wide, same with this one. I think everything's just a bit too big, generally, apart from, weirdly, the last hole, which was too small. But, kind of, again, scaling is a common thing that we tend to see on first courses. Certainly it was something that my CC entry last year was rightly called up on, some of the greens being too big, and just having a little bit of a framework of what's your kind of standard size. Where do we go from there? Okay, I'm liking this look a lot more. I think this hole fits a bit more harmoniously with the land than the last one. The last one was just a bit shoehorned in. The bunker's dead into the fairway. I like that we've... Okay, it's defaulting me to a 1-iron, which I don't mind. So I mean, with something like this, if it's a drivable-ish par 4, give me an incentive to go for it, but a real risk if I miss. Yeah, this bunker again is just too steep. Right, that drop is just way too much. We've got a stranded little deer. Oh. I think with your planting, you've used a few plants. We need to be planting more heavily and kind of tying it all together. It just feels a bit random. I like that we've got the splashes of colour, but tie them in a little bit. Let's make it feel a bit more natural, I guess. Yeah, so with a drivable 4, you've given me bunkers in front. You're basically telling me there's no point in going for this, because even if I land over it, I'm rolling off that tiny skinny green, which, by the way, also flows from front to back. I need to have an incentive to go for it. At the moment, I've got bunkers in front, which are one reason why I might consider not, and they're, again, really deep. I've got a tree on the right, which is an incentive not to go for it, because I'm also, with this wind, even without it, I'm hugging that tree a little bit. So that's another thing. Those two on their own may be fine, but then you add the green being tiny and falling away into this massive bunker. There's just no way I'm ever going for this. So now I kind of start looking back, and but equally, I don't mind being put off from going for a drivable par 4. That's not really what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there's no way I would ever go for this. I might go through the fairway with this. Kind of hoping I'll end up in flop shot range. And so we do. And I like that there were options and ways of playing it. If I go back, what I'd have loved to have seen is you're basically saying it's all or nothing. Either I don't go for it and I've got the whole of this area to play into, or I do go for it and I'm basically screwed, whatever happens. Yeah, there's a chance I might pull off the hero shot and somehow land it on here, but even if I do, I don't think I'm ending on that tier and getting an eagle putt. What I'd have liked to have seen on this a bit more is you thinking, well, if you don't go, give me a chance to go for it. Remove maybe this bunker, so that you're saying this side's a no-go, but this side, and you're taking on the tree, well, maybe you can roll it on there and bound it down a little bit, or give me some sloping, some sort of mound that keeps it on. And then go, well, if the player's not going to go for this green, where are they likely to lay up? So in my case, I went to here because I thought I could basically go left of it and go bypass all of these bunkers and have a nice short flop on. So how do we want to protect that? Do we want to put a bunker here? Do we want to cut the fairway round here? Do we want to make it a split fairway? Do we want to have a bunker here? You might also think, well, maybe someone wants to go for a full lob wedge, so maybe we protect that area a little bit. Or maybe we leave that and go, you know what, on a 316 yard par 4, if you want to play a 200 yard iron off the tee, all power to you. I tend to usually leave that spot pretty unprotected, because I think on a short par 4, leaving yourself with 100 yards out deliberately is a bold strategy, and we kind of want to encourage people to think of that as an option. I think with this you've got to leave people with a complete bailout. My question with this is, could we have kind of had shades of grey? We've got definite, in terms of do you go for it or not, maybe think red, amber, green lights. So for me, green, total red light. But then everywhere else was green. It's just like there was no... If I wasn't going for the green, I wasn't risking any trouble. Could I have had an amber zone maybe here, which is like position B, and a green at position C, say. Maybe the fairway bottles down here, I don't know. Just a few thoughts for you to consider, but I think as you kind of get those things under your belt, I do like that I did have a choice to make on that tee in a way that I haven't so far. Okay, hole 5. I mean, I'm immediately going to tell you that the retaining wall makes no sense for me. I don't think it fits. I don't see why we've got it. It's just there for the sake of being there. You've got all of these hills. We've seen greens fairways banked into hills everywhere, I don't get why this is suddenly here. I don't think aesthetically it does anything. I just see no real reason. Additionally, we've also got the light rough cut up here, which is a pretty big technical misstep. And yeah, we've got the land crinkling down behind it. I mean, this is not... I'm not really trying to go out of my way to find these. I'm not going to inspect everything, but technical stuff, if it comes up, we'll see it. Now that said, I like the green shape and I like this slope because I think this offers you a number of different pin positions, and I think it's maybe a touch tough on the CC side, but I don't think it's miles off. You've given me enough space to use this as a... and if your pin ones say here... sorry, I don't remember from the flyover where it was. I think that's a really good pin for a CC. This one's probably about as tough as I'd want you to get on this green. If you've gone here, then that's a no for me. But I like the one slope that kind of gives you multiple options. I think that's a good green. The bunkers short, again, are just massively deep, and we're struggling with the low side and the light rough going around it. I've said this stuff before. Same with waterside planting as per previous times, so I'll stop saying it. It just needs to be tied together more. I mean, I like that we've got all the splashes of colour, but have a look at some other courses that are like by top designers near the water's edge and see what they do. Sightline off this tee is much improved. I can see where I'm going. I see the cart path going through. I'd like to see the cart path a little bit more flattened. You've got a really good spot for a hole here. I need that wind to do a bit more than that. Yeah, I did wonder. Okay, we're up 1 foot. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too surprised to see this playing Stroke Index 7. I'm playing this relatively early after release, so I would anticipate that stroke indexes would change. Yeah, we're seeing the same things. I mean, the lack of planting under the trees as well isn't doing much for me. And the bushes that you do have are auto-gen. You just that we haven't cleared. Waterside planting, same old. Oh, we've got some rocks in. That's breaking it up a little bit more. It's your surfaces and your sculpting that are killing you. I mean, this is just a giant slope that we wouldn't be building a golf hole on this. And I guess we have an option here. I don't think you need to protect this with a tree as well. No, that pine can totally go, we don't need it. It also feels like you've cut the fairway and sculpted the land right the way down to here just to give an option, which I don't love. I think we can do it a bit more subtly. Bloody hell, this is... oh, it's par 5. Par 5's fine. I thought it was par 4 for a second. I was going to say it was probably a bit much. Okay, so it's not reachable. Which again, I'm okay with that. Shame, I thought you were really getting somewhere with that last green. This one's just kind of back to the greens, just kind of there. We've got a little bit of a slope. I don't know, it's all very flat. That sculpting is super severe. I get don't go long as a punishment, but that's really harsh. I don't mind the idea with this hole at all. Again, I think, could we have... we go back to the... I think basically you're at the... I like that you are thinking about options and strategy off the tee, but I think where you'll benefit a lot, other than just getting the surfaces and the sculpting straightened out, is those in between bits. So again, if I wasn't going for it, I'm basically just hacking up here as a second shot. That second shot will not be memorable. It's just hit up a fairway somewhere. Could you give me some bunkers in here, or somewhere to dictate, can we diagonal them? So if the green's facing that way, so my ideal layup zone is here, can we protect that with a bunker there? And then maybe have one here so that I could be tempted to playing there, but then taking on that bunker coming in. I think if you're going to make something that's potentially a 3-shot hole, you've got to make the second shot really interesting. Because your third shot's almost always going to be a pitch or a flop into a green. Anyway. 516 yard par 4, stroke index 15. So playing quite easy in spite of the toughness of it. Those bunkers fit, given the massive size of fairway we've got here, suddenly shrinking down to about 5 yards feels odd. And then we go massive again. Good green site. Retaining wall there, I have less of a problem with. That makes much more sense. I still don't love it. I don't think you need it, but yeah, I mean, this is basically just saying to me, don't go for it. There's no point. And yeah, maybe some days you'll have wind with you, but I'm not shooting that gap. And the problem is, once I'm not doing that, I'm left with a blind 1 iron. I think we'll play 3 iron because it's sloping downhill. I like that you've given me a run on. Again, I think we could be surfacing a green that's going to face this long on an approach, and I get that I've laid up off the tee, I should have a longer approach in. The distance on this hole is not the problem. I'm fine with having a 516 yard par 4 where maybe I lay up off the tee. I think in a CC contest, that's borderline, but I have no problem with it personally if it's done well. Where I'm having a problem is you're basically forcing me to really bottleneck if I'm running into the green, because I'd like to be seeing this fairway coming all the way around here. If you're going to give me that option, the advantage for having driven these bunkers is having a 7 iron in, say. For laying up, I've got a 3 iron in, but let me kind of funnel the ball in, and especially this green's triple tiered by the looks of it, which is cool. I'm glad you're adding more into the greens. I think the greens, apart from the last hole, are generally getting more interesting. But also I'm blind. I can't see where I'm going, and we're in one of the bunkers. I don't know, that approach shot felt very penal. Yeah, bunker sculpting is going to be something I would suggest is good. I think is going to be a universal critique on this course for me. Wasn't a good flop shot. I quite like that on this hole, if I hit the right tier, I've got a relatively easy putt though. Obviously I haven't with my approach, but I think that's probably why it's playing at a decent-ish stroke index, because if you find the tier, you've got a relatively flat putt. I think I'd like to see a bit more interest, but minor critique. I mean, I have less of an issue with the retaining wall, but it could be done a lot better. I think it's a lot more thought. It makes more sense here than it does on the previous hole. What I'm struggling with a bit more is the land dropping from there down to nothing. We'd see it. I mean, look at the rest of here. It's going to taper off, taper off, taper off. Same down here. I think you probably want to slope it more gently. Retaining wall, really, if you're having to use 2 tiers of it, as in like full extension, you shouldn't be using it, because the reason for retaining wall is going to be to stop the land kind of being threatened by the water. Here you don't need it, because it's so high. That's the reason they stretch so high anyway. This tree should go. It's overhanging the green and it's adding really, for me, artificial difficulty. The planting around the base is better. That's nice. I mean, if I'm hitting on line, the last thing I want is to be hitting a 9-iron, hit a branch that's hanging over the green, and then drop into the water. tiny green as well. Which I don't have a problem with. Same stuff with sculpting here. It's too high to too low. I think you really need to just get used to using a flattened brush, that soft fuzzy one, a bit more. Kind of like that third hole, it's just a green where either you hit the miracle shot and you make an auto birdie, or you are chipping and putting for a par. There's no, on the couple of the par 3s, just been no in between. Par 5. Have we had 3 par 5s on the front 9? Have we had 3-3-3 actually? Yeah, not being able to see those bunkers, that one bunker doesn't do anything for me. I like the clubhouse, I like what you've done there. And that waterside planting is a bit nicer. There's a lot of kind of emptiness here. These bunker shapes don't do much for me. It's really tight. Okay, we've got some stuff on this hole. I mean, we're blind again, and you're basically telling me if I can't hit driver. Maybe I can hit over this corner. Yeah, I don't like this tee shot, I'm afraid. You've hidden the bunker from me, which I don't think is a great move. And you've also made it so that if I am taking what's the safe play with a driver on a 638 yard par 5, I've got to take this on, because if not, I'm laying up this side of the water on a par 5. 1 second. Sorry, postman, I'll try to edit that bit out. So, on a par 5 that is this long, either let me have driver and make the approach really tricky. You've made the approach tricky, it's over water, bunkers, tight green. Or have me lay up but be the approach. Like, I don't think you can challenge both this severely. And I've got wind into. So my only option really is to hit to this side of the fairway, and even then I don't think I'll be able to get there. So yeah, I couldn't possibly have carried that bunker, even with a fast. And now I lay ups to the end of the fairway into the water, because there's no way I'm getting across even there. This hole just needed going back to the drawing board, because I'm now pitching wedge on a second shot on a par 5. Oh, maybe I could have hit a 9-iron. Doesn't really change it. So now, third shot into a par 5. Bear in mind that neither par 5 so far has been reachable. We've got a 5-iron into that. This is too harsh. Yeah, I thought the draw might do that. That was just not a good shot. I mean, I do like. There are bits I like about this hole. I like the clubhouse area. I like the waterside planting. I like the rock work down here that we can now see. I think that's from the first, isn't it? I just think this idea needed a complete redo. Because any time you've got this much of a gap between fairway and green, you've got to really be thinking of, well, what if someone does go in that bunker, or what if someone can't reach it? Shame. Yeah, usual things about bunker sculpting. The shapes feel a little random. You haven't quite developed a bunker shape style that I think makes sense or fits the course. Okay, we've now got another 3-shot par 5 that's really long. I would kind of, to be honest, and we've taken driver out of the equation pretty much again, I can tell. This fairway is also gigantic. Okay. I quite like the sort of punch bowly green setting. That can add a bit of interest. I'm not sure about the little depressions near it. I don't again, on a hole this length, your challenge on a lot of, I think you've got a strategy wise, I think your major issue is kind of distance and challenge really. So we've had that really long par 4 that was okay. I'm going to have to talk through a few things. This fairway not joining up with this one, I guess, is because of elevation. Again, I don't think if we had that, we certainly wouldn't be putting a fairway on top of it, because I think real life you're going to hit a 2-wood to here, hit across for your layup, and then walk back down the fairway back around. I feel like I'm forced into hitting driver through here, because if not I'm laying up again. And I don't think that's not a choice, I've got literally no other option, and I'm going to bounce into the water. I'm afraid this is just not a good hole design. It doesn't work, it doesn't make sense. Because even if I had landed it there, I've still got 370 yards in on a par 5. I don't really know what the play is off that tee. Again, we've got a massive slope. The green's also very, very small for, if we look at green size versus the rest of that fairway width. And I get that, yes, I've hit a straight drive, but I've hit a straight drive through that one tiny gap in the trees you've given me. And because I haven't hit it through that gap with a fade, I'm in the water. It's just too harsh. Because if not, I'm laying up again. I'm laying up again anyway. But I think you've got to start giving a few more. You've got to start throwing players a bone a little bit here and there. 129. We're on an upslope. It's probably good. Yeah, and it's kind of been this all the way, where if we are close to the flag, it's a dead flat putt, which I've missed. Fine, but I think loses interest after all. It's basically after a while. Yeah, those also, I think if you're gonna do those 2 long par 5s, probably don't put them back to back. So we have gone 6-6-6, haven't we? In terms of 5s, 4s, 3s. That's quite interesting. Right, we've now got the rocks in the fairway for, I feel, no reason. And now we've gone to a giant green. I'd love for you to go and compare the green sizes between 10 and 11. I'm all for having variance within greens and green sizes, but I think the difference here is just too big. I'm going to go for it because I kind of feel like it at this point. And I think I'm now going to have a putt that I can't reach, but it might be over 100 feet. 146 feet. Lovely. So at this point, and this is also dead flat, I think you've got to put more interest into the greens around the hole. Okay. Oh, we got very fast. Thank you, game. Yeah. I'd have liked to have seen a bit more options off the tee. I think this will be one where maybe the hole plays a bit better on a different pin. the green's giant. It's really hard to add much interest when your greens are that big unless you go really wild with the slopes. Okay, we've now got another really long par 3. We've now had one at 230, I think, one at 260. Again, it's the distance versus how you've protected the green. That pin on this green is just not fair, frankly. I don't think you'd see this in a major contest, because I'm going down 84 feet and I'm blind as well. I mean, I feel this is unfortunate and accidental, but you've got to let me see what's going on. I like that I can see through to the back this hole here. I think being able to bring multiple holes into view is really cool. I don't think you need this bit of fairway. Nobody's laying up. I mean, maybe they would. I feel like it's a miracle shot if I make the green. What are we at? I mean, I'm just going to hit over and hope. Yeah. So where are we going to... we're now back at the tee. I think this would be a shot that would be borderline unfair on PGA guys. Because my only play is really to get back there. And now I'm facing a long putt back to the front of the green with a massive runoff on the front. Yeah, the last few holes have really lost me, I'm afraid. Let's just try and lay it a little bit short and get away with a 5. I'm not, again, it's worth saying that I'm not against having difficult holes. I think the difficulty here is just far too high for what you're trying to... That green size for that shot is not appropriate. Okay, we've now got another really long par 5. I don't get why we've split the fairway. I think split fairways, unless you've got a reason not to. Bunker sculpting, again, is proving problematic. I really would like to see you vary the par 5s and give me at least one that was reachable. And hitting it very fast doesn't help. So this will be interesting. So now my only real option is to hit into light rough, because the fairway has vanished. Which I'll do, that's fine. I don't really mind being out of light rough. But it just feels a bit nonsensical. I don't understand why the fairway isn't here. There's no... If you're going to split the fairway, there's got to be a reason for doing so. And there isn't. It's just like they got bored of cutting and decided to go back to the tee. Anyway. Green's got more interest. That's nice. I like this slope. I like that I'm kind of playing away a little bit because of the wind, but equally I would rather be long than short. Kind of that little slope makes me think long is better. Yeah, wasn't a good shot, didn't mean the fast. And hopefully we get away with the par. But yeah, I think not having one par 5 as being reachable is a tricky choice. Yeah. Got another relatively long par 3. I like, unlike the third that you've made this green, kind of an island green, there's no fairway surrounding it. Although, I think the third had more merit as being like that, because with the third it was a short hole, you're never going to want to run it on. Although again, the sculpting, it's just falling away here for... It doesn't make a huge amount of sense. I feel the tree's really encroaching. I think it needs to be over here a little bit more. Again, waterside planting I like. View from the tee is nice. I can see over the water. I can see previous hole I've played. That was the... I want to say the first short par 4. Is it 4 or 5? Maybe. Yeah, it's still just the sculpting stuff, I think. We've only just missed that tree. I don't think that a tree that close to the tee should ever be really part of strategy on a par 3. Again, we've got a dead flat putt after the first few inches. I realise, having said that, I've missed every single one of them, but that's fine. Planting back here is better. I'd like to see you sink the bushes a little bit more, but that's much more natural, and having stuff under the trees is good. Prefer the look off this tee. I don't get why this fairway's here. This bit, I think it just needs to go naturally up here. It's still, I think, a bit too wide. The back of that green is all sorts of awkward for me. I don't think it should be dropping off the... I don't really like the 2 bunkers being there either, personally. Okay, I do like that the better line off the tee, giving the shorter angle, is the one you've guarded with the bunker. I mean, for that reason alone, I think if you'd kept this bunker and lost this one and had it going around here, just let me challenge that bunker for a shorter shot and a better look into the green. I mean, that's not, based on where I've finished up, that's not something I'm going to be able to carry, so ending up down here I don't think is ever really going to happen unless I'm wind with, and even then, why would I be? I'm bringing those trees into play. I don't see it making... I suppose wind is against me, maybe it's makeable. I don't know, it still just doesn't make a huge amount of sense. Go a little. Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm saying a lot of the same things again now. I'll try not to. Okay, good. I was hoping this would be a slightly shorter par 3. I'd have liked to have seen you have one kind of just wedge shot par 3, would have been really nice. This kind of planting I wish we'd seen a bit more of, something that's kind of giving the hole a little bit more environment. I felt that playing surfaces aside, or like this kind of section, we haven't really bothered with planting, other than just having trees be there. This bunker, I would say, should just go. I mean, you're close enough to the water's edge that if they hit that, the bunker's actually kind of saving them, but because it's so close, you're having to do all sorts of awkward sculpting to just make it work. And this one, I don't know what's happened. That's like, we've had deep bunkers before, that one's a new level of deep. Okay. Hit a good 8-iron, I guess. Ooh, we are going to end up in that bunker. So yeah, I mean, I think with that, I'm quite happy ending up in the water if I miss left. Like, have that be the whole strategy. Like, maybe bunker this side. If you think almost 16 at Augusta, you've got water. Maybe not the best example. Try and think of a better one. But even think of that, yeah, 16 Augusta, and you've got water down this side, and you've got the slope that can help you, that everyone always remembers. But if you take it dead on at the flag, if you're missing left, you're probably wet, unless you're Tiger in 2005 or whatever. But those bunker that side and make that a really nasty pitch back down. But if I miss left, just put me in the water. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, a weird one where I'm saying on this course that I'd rather that miss was more harshly punished. But I think having an idea in your head of what each hole is trying to do, like where do I want people to miss it, where do I want people to be really afraid of. Okay. Again, the fairway, I don't see why this is here. If it's a run on, it's super harsh. The rocks don't fit for me. I like that we've got a short par 4 though. This bunker style is new. We haven't seen that before, and because of that it's a bit jarring. I think I'm going to lay up, am I? I think laying up on this one is the play. Oh, well, we've laid up with her very fast, which might actually help my distance in. We'll see. And Yeah, there we go. Again, everything falling towards that bunker really doesn't help. I think the ideas here are solid. Par 5s aside, I think I'll try to wrap this up now. Yeah, we've got another par 5 that's unreachable. Every single one of them has been. I can see what you're trying to do with the variety of holes. I can see what you're trying to do with some of the hazarding and making the bunkers penal. I think you've missed the mark on difficulty, generally. I'd like to see you get more of a handle on... Yeah, this green's huge again. Sculpting and surfacing year 2, in terms of where should fairway go, how wide should fairway be, that sort of thing. Like, what are kind of sensible size slopes and things like that. And the bunker sculpting, I think, is a must. Here we're up 2 feet. Let's go somewhere here. But I think really, yeah, and I'd also have liked to have seen you taking a little bit more time planting around each hole, kind of on the outskirts, etc. So yeah, I think it's a pretty... There's a lot of the mistakes in there, I'd say, that or mistakes is mistakes, technical missteps, I'd say, that are pretty common in terms of difficulty, in terms of kind of the hole lengths, things like that. The surfacing stuff you will figure out as you just get more of a handle on what is good in the design and what looks right. Simply play more courses and just look at what people are doing, how wide is this hole, and really question why is something wide. So like a good example I'd say was that par 3. Go and play a couple of other 260 odd yard par 3s. Play the 17th hole at Falling Water. In fact, just play Falling Water. Falling Water's great. But play the 17th hole there that's 270 or whatever, and see why it's allowed to be that length. Because of how it's bunkered or not, or where the hazards are, or how big the green is and things like that, compared to the one that had the tiny island green and tiny bunker and really serious slopes. Par 5s, go and play, I don't know, go and play another course that's on CC at the moment. Go and have a look at the courses on CC right now and see how they play. Often they're from 1 tee up. I mean, if this were scheduled, I think it would have to be from 1 tee up, but we're going to judge from the back, I think. Anyway, look, there's a lot of feedback in there. Really, really happy to help and like take kind of point you in the way of tutorials or what have you. But I think this is very much a beginner's course where it's great to see a lot of the ideas. I think we could have just handled them with a little bit more care in places. So yeah, I hope this helps. I appreciate there's lots of feedback, so please do reach out on the forums if there's anything we can do to clarify or kind of help with that. Anyway, I hope all is well and have a good day.